Hello everybody, Tux here, and I have a different style of video today, and one of a more sort of genuine style rather than an informative one. Today I want to talk about burnout, specifically video game burnout, and why as we grow older, why it just sucks so much. Now I know there are probably hundreds if not thousands of videos on this topic on YouTube. In fact, I've watched plenty of them when I have experienced this myself, not even just out of pure curiosity, but because it felt nice not to be alone in my feelings. To feel in a sort of way heard by someone who will never know me, so I figured we would do a deep dive on old Tux and talk about my experience, a bit of lore on me, and hopefully kind of help anyone else dealing with the same thing as myself. The very first game I can truly say I remember playing would either be Tekken 4 or Mortal Kombat on the Sega Game Gear, and I was in love. I was shown these games at such a young age that they continue to be a part of my life for a good long while to come. It wasn't until I was around 4 or 5 I received my very first console, the OG Xbox. This shitty controller that was way too big for my hands and buttons that seemed like an alien spaceship. But God, I loved it. The only game I remember having for it was LEGO Star Wars, and while to this day I've never 100%ed the game, I spent hours playing as my favorite characters on the Star Wars franchise. But my most genuine gateway into the gaming was everyone's favorite white box of a console, the Xbox 360. Now before I got this, all I would watch in the living room was G4 TV and the show X-Play between reruns of the Japanese version of Ninja Warrior. Which, side note, those people are absolute beasts, and I tried so hard to be like them. Seeing as I am now a caricature of a MySpace emo kid, it's safe to say I did not grow up to be a crazy athlete, but I am married and I play video games with my wife, so I win in other ways. I would watch the show religiously to the point my parents were probably tired of it. If memory serves, my little brother didn't even have to deal with it, as I don't believe he was even born yet, so if you're watching this, buddy, be grateful you didn't have to deal with all my bullshit. But one fateful Christmas, I was opening my gifts, and it was a few less than I was expecting. While we did not go without all the time when I was younger, times were tough, but my mom and dad always made it work. I opened my last 2 gifts, which one was Bionicle Legends, if I remember right, and the other one was Tony Hawk's Project 8. At the time, I thought it was odd because I knew my console couldn't play it. My parents were apologizing and said Santa must have messed up. Until they said go open the door to the apartment we were living in, and there she was. In the box delivered by Santa himself was an Xbox 360. It was beautiful. This spaceship-shaped console would shape my life, and my little pea brain couldn't even comprehend what I was in for. I played the games I got for years and years, muddling games like Borderlands, Call of Duty, Skyrim, and about 2 or 3 consoles I had to go through due to the Red Ring of Death, but damn if that thing didn't give me some of the best years of my life. Now, I was bullied a lot in school. Being a little geek didn't earn me any brownie points, but I somehow survived and made it through some of the toughest times in my life. Got a job at Burger King and somehow dealt with that horrible place, but as time went on, I noticed I would much rather stare at the screen rather than play anything. I'd rush home from work to hop on my PC, but nothing would ever give me any sort of enjoyment, which I felt so odd for that to be the case. I love gaming. Why am I sitting here dreading the very thought of launching up something like GTA 5 when I know I want to play it, but I can't bring myself to? I want to hop on No More Room in Hell for a quick solo match, but why? This would happen off and on until this very day. I'm 26 now. I was about 17 when it started, so it had been happening for so long I thought maybe I'm falling out of love of gaming. But that wouldn't be the case, of course. In reality, life was catching up. Bills, relationship, trauma, these all replaced the solace of being younger, where the only concern I had was if my mom was going to say we had McDonald's at home and I'd be pissy the chicken nuggets sucked. To anyone watching this, you are not alone in any feelings of loneliness. You do not hate your favorite game. Unless it's League of Legends and you wonder why you keep queuing up as jungler and ranked and want to punch your screen, but in all seriousness, it's not the games. It's the context of our lives around the games now. When we were kids, gaming was the destination. We had 6 hours of school, maybe some homework, and then total freedom. Now, gaming has to compete with a never-ending mental cycle. Now when you sit down at 26, 36, 46, you aren't just launching your game anymore. You're launching it while thinking about the laundry that still needs to be folded, the dishes are in the sink, your bill's due on Friday, or an email from your boss that you hate. Suddenly, playing a complex RPG doesn't seem like an escape anymore. It feels like your second job. Your brain's already exhausted from making decisions all day, so when a game asks you to manage your inventory, optimize a build, deal with stupid teammates, your brain's just, I'm done. I don't want to do this. If you're staring at your Steam library right now feeling a weird mix of guilt and boredom, I want to say this. You haven't lost your passion. You're just tired. Your brain is doing exactly what it's supposed to do when it's overwhelmed. It's asking for rest, not just a different kind of stimulation. And it sucks to feel that way about the one thing that used to rescue you from the world. It feels like losing a piece of yourself, but it's only temporary. Stop chasing all the trendy releases just because everyone on Twitter is talking about it. Go back to what feels safe. If massive open worlds feel daunting, shrink down your scope a little bit. Look for some little indie games, like unpacking, a short hike, or just going in the Stardew Valley. I don't know, I like farming personally. And for all my Sims girlies out there that like every single mod in their game, go look at the Sims resource for 8 hours on end. I know my wife does, and she can never be happier than downloading 4 more gigs of hair. At least with that, you still feel satisfied that you're doing something related to your hobby. You don't have to play a game that demands 80 to 100 hours of your life. Another thing is, and it's the hardest pill to swallow, is that sometimes the best way to love gaming as a hobby is to put your controller or mouse down for like a week or two. Build a PC, work on Gundam, spend time with your family, or just stare at the ceiling. The games will still be there when you get back. They aren't going anywhere. Look at Guild Wars 1, for example. That game was in maintenance mode for years, and then boom, Guild Wars Reforged comes out, and all the boomers that were still playing it in maintenance mode are now coming back to it in full stride. I'm talking about you, Doombox. There's also no shame in letting someone else do all the heavy lifting. If you don't have the time, energy, or brainpower to play a game, put on a gaming walkthrough, a documentary about gaming, a video essay about Morrowind, the 17th one you've watched because it's the best Elder Scrolls game. You're still participating in the culture that you are so fond of and enjoying the art of it, but you're letting your brain sit down for a little bit and just absorb it rather than you doing all the effort yourself. If you've stuck around this long and you're in the thick of it right now, take a deep breath and just breathe. You aren't broken. You haven't outgrown the thing that helped you survive growing up. You're just a human at the end of the day, and that's all we can be, is human. Thank you guys for listening to a bit of my lore today and letting me get this off my chest. It's been kind of something I've been dealing with a lot more lately. Times have, been dealing with work and trying to enjoy a game. It's been harder for me lately, and I figured a really good way to express that emotional aspect of it was just to make a YouTube video. And I know there's other people out there that feel the same way, and the little emo kid has feelings. I know it's shocking, but it's something I want to get off my chest for once. Let me know in the comments, have you dealt with video game burnout to a really hard degree, a soft degree, and what's your ultimate comfort game when that burnout finally hits you? And if you enjoyed the video and you stuck around this far, give it a like, subscribe, show it to your friends, family, your neighbor's dog, all that fun stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves, guys.